Hey everybody, welcome back. Alright, so in this lesson we're going to start looking at sort of the differences between different genres when it comes to song structure. But before we get into this, you really need to know something. From a song structure point of view, there is really not much difference between different genres. Like, you know, of course there's a difference between sort of like a pop track and a deep house track maybe, or a dubstep track, but actually, the difference is really only on the surface. The basic principles of song arrangement are the same no matter what genre you're in. And all tracks can basically be broken down into a verse-chorus structure, even if they don't have vocals, like I've shown with the previous track. Of course, there are a couple of exceptions, like, meditation music and stuff like that, but that's beyond the purview of this tutorial. And this goes for almost anything. That's techno, trance, drum and bass, pop, dubstep, rock, and all the rest of it. The only difference is how you sort of perceive the verse and chorus structure, meaning that when you're talking about dance music, for example, where you perhaps have no vocals, then really think of the verse and chorus and the other sections in terms of how energetic that section is and, you know, where it's taking the track, rather than in more sort of traditional terms, whereas the verse is considered, the verse's purpose is to provide sort of the meaning behind the chorus. So that doesn't really translate when you go to dance music. It's not about the verse telling you what the song's all about and then the chorus giving the main punchline. So it helps to think of the verse, chorus, and all the rest of it in terms of energy rather than in a sort of traditional storytelling dynamic. So we're going to dive deeper into that in the next couple of lessons, where we're going to analyse a techno track and a trance track, both of which have a sort of non-typical arrangement. And just the reason I'm explaining all this is because a lot of people ask how they should arrange a techno track or a trance track or a hardstyle track or whatever. And that's really the wrong question to ask. You can't really answer how do you arrange a techno track, as there are a million and one ways that you could do it. The much better question is to ask, how best do I tell the story of this track that I'm working on, or how do I have the biggest impact on the listener? Or on the dancer if it's meant as a dance track. And just remember that any good story or any good song, even if it's just a pure full-on dance floor track, needs a few things. It needs to have good content. It needs to generate some kind of emotional attachment. It needs tension, and it needs resolution from that tension. And that basically describes any good track, no matter what genre. Now you might wonder when I say about emotional attachment, and then I talk about sort of techno, where the normal listener would not hear any emotion in that. But I'm telling you, when you're on a dance floor and the music is pumping and you're probably a bit off your face or whatever, then you will get emotions of that track, I promise you, even if it's a dark, dirty, dingy bassline beat and all the rest of it. There is emotion there. You just got to be in the right situation and the right frame of mind to feel it. And I want to iterate here that telling a good story and making a track that people want to listen to over and over again is not really about being like the cleverest person with your arrangement. It's not really about doing something differently just because you think it should be done differently, and it's definitely not about trying to impress other producers because you've done something like super clever that's never been done before. There's nothing wrong with any of those things, of course, and breaking from the norm is absolutely brilliant thing to do, but only if it's what the track needs, and it's only if that is the most effective way to achieve the goal, which really should be getting the message and the meaning of your track across and telling a good story. So that's it for this lesson. In the next couple of lessons, like I say, we're going to look at some other producers' work and just some tracks that you would not normally think of as having a verse-chorus structure. Now, this is much more to do with the sort of dance music crowd who are watching this tutorial, who are perhaps producing stuff that doesn't really have much vocal. It's not really pop and rock, although it's a good example of how you can use arrangements in different ways. And it's really just to highlight the fact that even when a track, you might look at it and think, well, that's not a verse, chorus. Well, actually, if you look at it in the right way, you can actually analyze it as that. And it's very helpful to do that. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys and girls in the next one.